Hello friends and everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. Maybe as I speak, you are done building your first project, definitely which is Web API. And you are looking for a way that you can deploy this project into production. How you can move your application from your local machine to the cloud server. And you've waited for so long, and that is the time. In this video series, I'm going to show you how you can deploy your application from the local machine to cloud server. There are a lot of companies that can help you get a domain. In case you want to build or you want to deploy your application, your project to production, let's say it's a web API. Definitely, you will need a domain name, netcodehub.com, netcodehub.in, netcodehub.x, YZ, and etc. Right? So that means the first thing that should come in your mind is to purchasing a domain name. And there are a lot of companies that do provide domain names. What are they? You can have access to Namecheap, GoDaddy, Google Domains, and a whole lot. Okay. So I'm going to take you through one of them, which is the GoDaddy. I've been buying domains from these people for quite long. So I know how to do that. All that you need to do here is to pull your browser and now go to godaddy.com. And now let's see how we can search for domain and now purchase it. Now, as soon as you pull your browser, you go to godaddy.com. And that is the home page here. You can see from my account that I have signed in. So you can create an account if you don't have an account, or you can sign in case you have an account here. Quickly, what you can do here is search for domains. So just type in any name that comes to your mind, but do not type in any name at all. You make sure you choose a domain which suits your project. Okay, so do not use your name for the project. So let's say I'm going to have a domain, I want to have a server, and in that I want to have a domain known as Netcode-Hub. So maybe I'm going to type in Netcode-Hub and I'll search for the domain. And look at the price here for a year, $109. Wow, it's a lot. Now check for the next one. You can have netcodehub.xzy. We have, this one is XYZ, right? We have .me, .net, .store, and here it is going for $16 for a year. Well, if this is too expensive for me, I can still go in and look for something slightly to my level. So here, I want to skip this because this is now everything is going AI. So AI has increased. Now look at the price, $54 per year. But maybe I can go in for the online. If it suits my project, then I can choose, which is the $1.17. And now for this, I think it's quite okay. So you can choose this or choose any, and then you make a payment out of it. So when you have it, then you're going to have your domain. You have a domain name ready. Now, when you have a domain name ready, what is the next thing that you have to do? You know, I was searching for companies who do provide cheap web servers. So I came across one company. Even my friend that I am working a project with him showed me. And I think it's in India. The price is moderate. It's amazing. Let me show you so that you can also consider that when you're budgeting for a domain or a server to host your project. So let me look out for that. All right, and here we go. So that is hugindia.com. I'll put the link in the video description. Okay. So with this, when we have a look in here, we have the basic, standard, and our professional. For a basic one, since you want to host our web API, which doesn't need enough, let's say disk, we have 2 GB of RAM. That is okay. We have 40 GB of SSD. That is very fast. Okay. We have 2 CPU cores. And that is great. And this one is costs for 329 rupees per month. So if you want to convert and see the amount that it's talking about. Now the default operating system here, I think that is Linux or so. But here you want to be using Windows 22. Yes, Windows Server 2022. That's what we want to be using here for our deployment. So maybe if you want to check, you can just go to click on buy now. If you want to check for this too, you can go to and click on buy now. Why do I say this company provides at least moderate server prices? I went through price list for Azure, and here for a normal one, you can choose from the, you can suggest what you want to buy. Okay, so from here we have an OS for Windows. You can choose all types of OS. You want to go in for Windows, and you want a general purpose, not any special server, for general purpose one. And then the currency here is India rupees because you want to actually check. So that's the reason why I chose that. And monthly, you can choose for hour or for monthly. And then here, there is the summary, or there is the response that I got. You can see from me, I'm having 2 CPUs with 1 GB RAM, and it's costing 649 rupees per month. So check the price here, giving me 1 GB with 2 CPU, right? 1 GB. And I want to compare here, I'm having 2 GB RAM, 40 gigabyte SSD, and I'm having 2 CPU. You can just go in for this, and I'll just give you 659. So when you compare the price, you see that, hey, this is quite cool. So maybe for the basic one, you can go in for that, click on buy. We've bought one already, I and Joe. So I'm not going to buy that. So you can just sign up or sign in case you have an account. If you don't have an account, just go and sign up here. Now, if you want to buy this, the domain name that you have bought from the GoDaddy, just bring it here. So let's say this is netcode-hub.xyz. Then that is the domain name that I purchased. So this is my domain. Choose operating system, Windows cost. You can go in for Linux, but well, you want to go for Windows. So choose this, which will increase the price. Then when you come here, control panel, do you want to get control panel? It depends how you want it. But you can go for what we need is applications. These are free. So we need IIS. Maybe at times when we have to deploy our client applications such as Blazor, maybe we're going to consider that. So it's better that you include it when purchasing so that in the near future videos, you can also follow along. Then definitely going to be using MySQL, which gives you the Express. You can also stop this and download the community version. You see, but this is an Express for production. So if you want to include that, actually it is free. Check here, applications, IIS, and our SQL Express 2022. We have it here. Then the next thing I'm going to do here is do you want to have a pro support or standard one? Maybe pro support, maybe you can just contact them and response will be they'll attend to you shortly. Once you're done with this, the next thing they're going to be doing is to proceed to checkout, then you make payment. So when you check this amount here, we can just grab this amount and we can check from $2. And I think I did that, and let's see, that's $31.71, and that is the amount they're going to be paying for all these services. Wow. So when you have this, you're going to be sent your server IP and also your username. So that is what you need to keep it. Now, in our next video, we're going to look at how we can connect to this Windows server that we have as a VPS using the RDP. That's a remote desktop protocol. So after you are done making payments, you are expecting to see your IP. That is your Windows Server IP that you have, maybe a username and your port. And that is what in the next video, we're going to be connecting to this Windows Server using the remote desktop protocol. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you actually get updates on content that I do provide. If you're also interested in this video much, then give me a thumbs up to actually help me and do more videos as such. All right, so that is it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello, friends and everyone. Welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. As I speak, I believe you've purchased your Windows VPS server, isn't it? If you don't know anything about this, That means you haven't watched the previous video. We are deploying our web API into server. The first video spoke about how you can purchase a VPS server. So as I speak, if you're able to make that purchase, you then have your IP address, which is your public IP address. You have your port, you have your username and your password. These components are what we need in order for us to put them together to connect to our VPS server. Now that we have all this, let's launch our RDP, which is the remote desktop protocol. As soon as you install Windows, you can find that on it. So you need not to install any external package for that. So let's do that. So I just hit on my window key and I'll type in RDP, which opens a link to the remote desktop connection. And in that, I'm going to have it here. Let me put it on the screen. So after you're done launching your remote desktop connection, that is on your screen, all that you're going to be doing is to provide the necessary credentials which are provided by the VPS provider, and then we can connect. But before we do that, when we are done publishing our API, we need to copy and paste it on our server. We don't want to use FTP or any. We can also use the same RDP here to copy files from our local machine to our server. But before we do that, you have to make sure that you have drives checked. Go to show options, and then in that you go to local resources, check for clipboard, and then click on more. Make sure you check for drive. Click on that. Now click on OK. And then here, when you come to general, you're going to provide your IP address, which is the public provided to you, and then with the port. Okay. And then you're going to provide the username. So for example, you can see from here, I have my IP address. This is my local IP address. But you're going to pass in your server IP address, and then you're going to have your port as I have indicated. Make sure you follow the format well. And then provide the username. So this username will be provided to you as well. And then click on connect. Okay. Now, as soon as you do that, it will ask you the type here, remote desktop connection, and that is a remote computer. So there is the address. And now, would you want to connect? Then click on connect to make it work. The next stage that you're going to be doing is to click on yes. You need to make sure we trust the certificate. So click on yes. Oh, amazing. And now we are in. So this is our server that we purchased, a Windows Server 2022, and now we have it. When you open to this, the first thing that I'm going to be doing is to add roles and features. So you can launch that from this wizard. Then you click on the start, and in here, from the start, you can go in for Server Manager. Now click on add roles and features. So let's wait for this. When it's ready, yes, it's ready now. And then we can go to next. Click on remote base. What is a remote? Role based or feature based installation. Click on next, then next. And now for our roles, maybe we will need only the IIS, that is the Internet Information Service. We need that so we can host our maybe our client feature video. Click on next. And then for our features, we want to make sure we have .NET Framework 4.8 installed. We also want to make sure we have our antivirus, that is the Windows Defender. I think we have a PowerShell. Then where's our Defender? We also want to check that. And then click on install. So these are the features that we need in order to work with what we're going to be doing. After the installation, we are good. So our server is ready, and now we can put our project here to make it available all over the world. That's amazing. So what is the way forward to handle this? So let's minimize our server. I am not closing, I'm rather minimizing it. I am back to my local machine. Let's open our Visual Studio. Now our project, make sure your project is open in an admin mode in the Visual Studio. So I have this, and that is my project, product project. In here, I can perform CRUD operations in here. So I can just test it out by running to see whether this is working. Okay, so when you check here, I have my skill also integrated. And then let's go to get product. From this response, let's see if it's actually connected to database. Yes, of course. So we have 404 not found. That means we need to add category. So we can add product. So we have category added. Then we can go to product, post, and then add a product. And that is it. So we only go to get and get all. You see we have that. If I open my dbeaver and check if I am actually connecting to my database, you can see from here I have this product DB. Now from this schemas, I can check from my DBO, my table, and I have this product. I can go and read. So let's view table. Okay, and I have the ID of one, the product name, the quantity, and now category ID. So this project is working locally. Great. Now is the time for us to publish it. But before we do it, we need to make sure we create a database. But we don't want to create a database manually on our server. You know, here, when we're creating database in the local project, we added migration. We updated the migration file so that the database can be created for us automatically with the various tables, isn't it? We want to also do same. So on our server, we are not having a Visual Studio to perform migration. So we need to create a class which will do that as soon as we run it on our server. Let's create a class in that. And now since we are following clean architecture, we can put that in the presentation because that is where the migration head starts from. Okay, so in here, I'm going to create a folder and I'll name it as extension. So let's create a class and now name it as migration extension. All right, so within that, let's have a migration class. Maybe we can give it a name as apply migration. So whatever, you can give it a name that you want. And then let's have 3 lines of code, which will handle that for us. So when you look at this code that we have here, we want to create scope, and then we want to use this appdb context that we created in our infrastructure. And in that, we want to get a service. Since we cannot do injection here, we need to get a service. And then in that, we can have this database and perform migration. So here, all that we're going to be doing is to add the migration. We're not going to update it. And as soon as the app runs, it's going to migrate it automatically. Now that we have this set, let's go to our program.cs file. And in here, we're going to add that. When the app runs, we want to apply a migration. So we're going to say app dot, we can have apply migration, and that is it. Good. So now that we have this set, we need to go and change our database connection. So from this, we need our server here. right? So let's go and change it, add our server IP address. So we can even check from your RDP connection. You have it on top here. You can go grab that and I'll paste it here. Now for database, you're going to have our product DB over there. So, in purchasing the server, we checked database, right? So default is going to create or going to install database for us when we purchase it. But if you want to verify, you can just go to your server. Then you can even check from here, SSMS. You can just install this studio as well. And I believe you know this from deploying local machine, you know how to handle that. So I have my SQL Server installed over here, and I can also connect this to that. Let's open this and check this out. SQL Server authentication. And then I need to provide the name over here and now the password. So after I am done with this, all I'm going to do here is to click on connect and I'll check it out. Yes, I'm in. So when you go to databases, I have these databases here. I am not having the product DB, right? So after we are done with the migration, we should be able to have our database here. Then let's minimize this. Let's minimize our server. So in here, it means we need to provide the username and now the password, right? So we're going to say user ID. And now this is the ID, you provide it over here. And now you provide your password too. Okay, so I'm going to go offline and I'll provide this in there and so we can connect. Yes, so I provided them and they are there. They are hidden. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is to publish this API. But before we do that, we are having this our server IP address, and that is where we're going to be accessing our API from, right? So we go to solutions, then check from the presentation, you go to your LAN settings, and in here, instead of running from localhost with 5046, when you do this, you can access your application locally in the server, and it will work like that. But if you try to access it outside, it will not work. But you're going to maintain this. After publishing, we're going to have access to it. So when we try locally and it works, then we're going to change it to our server IP address so that everyone can have access to this endpoint. Okay, so let's maintain that. Now we're going to publish it. So right click on your presentation, then go to publish. Now here I have, I think, a published profile created already. But I'm going to create new profile so you can see the steps. Choose folder that you want to publish to. Click on next. And then from here, click on, I think there is an output, isn't it? Where do you want to keep it? Yes, okay. So that is a publish. Click on finish. We have a profile created. Then I'm going to close that. Now this is my profile. Click on show all settings. And then from here, you want to make sure it is released. Then from the target framework, definitely is 9.0. From our deployment mode, we can have a self-contained. Then we're going to choose our target runtime. We have when Windows x86, we're going to look for x64, right? Save. So now is the time for us to publish it. So click on publish. Now let's publish this project. Yes, so you can see from here, publish succeeded. And now we have this. Maybe we can check from our solution since it is going for this. Maybe let's navigate. And from our local machine, that is what we have here. There is a publish So if I go to .NET 9, this is coming from my project. So from .NET 9.0, I have my published folder coming from this release, coming from the bin, and now the project. So this is the presentation project. You go to the bin, and then in that you open it, go to release .NET 9.0, and I check for I think publish. Now that is this. So we can just grab this. Let's actually cut this from here. I'm going to paste it so I can change the name. Or as I've copied like this, let's go to the server and I right click on this and let's paste. So you can see from here we are copying files from our local machine straight to our server, and this will work. Let's wait for this. It's going to take some time. Let's wait for the completion of this so we can proceed to the next stage. So I want to check, you can see we have the file over here, and we can close this and give it another name. We're going to say product API, because the product API indeed. Then we're going to move this out from here. We can open a file explorer, go to computer. Then from here, we can check our local disk. Then maybe somewhere we can paste it up. So we have this product here. We need to install .NET runtime so we can run this project. So let's go and install that. Currently, this project was built in .NET 9, so we need runtime of 9.0 to handle that. So open browser. Then here we need .NET runtime, this one. So we go back to the download.net, which is from Microsoft.net.microsoft.com. On the server, then 9.0, this 8.0, click on all .NET 9 downloads. Then in here, we can have access to our runtime. So check from this is the SDK, this is our runtime, Windows X64, so download this. And when you are done, try to follow the wizard to get this installed. Good, I have done that already. So you know to do it again. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing here is we're going to launch our PowerShell. You know, we install that. Let's put that in an admin mode. So PowerShell. All right, so we click on this, run as administrator. Then we want to navigate to our project. So currently, we're going to have access to all these files. Okay, let's wait. Okay, so these are the files that we have. We want to go back. Then ls, we have this. We want to navigate to this product API. So we have these files in our product API. So these are files that we have. Okay, now we're going to run this. Now, which file are we going to run? Because we have a lot of files here. So open it, go to product API, and then let's look out for our presentation.dll file. This is what we're going to be running. So e-commerce application, other one, e-commerce presentation, not this one, this is an application. We want to locate the DL, so this one. So we can grab this. Then in here, let's say .NET. Let's paste it. But before we can click on OK to run this, we must make sure that we have 80.80 traffic open. So maybe we can check from our firewall. So let's go to Windows Defender Firewall. Then in here we can check for advanced settings. Then the inbound rules, create a new rule. I have that specified already. So I named it, I think, HTTP. Do I have that? Okay, so maybe we can go and create another one. So I'll click on new rule. Then I'm going to say with the port So click on port. Okay. Then click on next. Then allow TCP port of 80. Then next, give it name. So allow the connection. And here you can, from the next, you can give it check for all this. And now allow HTTP. And then we can give description and click on OK. So if I check allow HTTP, which takes in the port of 8080, right? You can just go to properties, and from the protocols and ports, you're going to find that here. Now let's go and run this project. Now look at that. You can see that migration started early and so quick. We have it set. You can see from here, migration has been performed. Check from this, yes. And now we have it. Now it is running on port of 5000, right? So we can grab this. Then let's open our browser again. Let's paste this here. Then we're going to have our Scala and our version 1. And now we are in. So let's check to see. Let's go and add category, or we can even add or get product. When we have 404, it means we are connected. Let's go and add this from category. We're going to make post, then send, and I can see we are in. Let's go and add product. And then we're also going to send this, and now also gone, right? If you open your SSMS, currently we do not have the database, but if I refresh this, we're going to have this database here, product, and we're going to have the table as product and category. Yes, our database is connected. So now that we have seen how to run our server, let's say our API on our server locally, in the next video, let's look at how we can extend it so that on our local machine, we can access this app. All right, guys, so we've seen how to run application locally on our server. So stay tuned for the next one, which is going to be amazing as this. If you have any issue with this when trying to follow, let me know and I'll be available to assist you. All right, if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, then make sure you do that. And make sure to click on the notification bell so you do receive updates as soon as I upload new content. All right, so that is it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey friends, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. I believe by now you have been able to deploy your web API onto your cloud server. And now it is working. But the issue is you can only access this locally. If you try to access this on your local machine, it doesn't work because your API is available on your cloud server only. How do we make it global so that you can access it from your local machine and even a different place? That is what you're going to have a look on this. This is going to be a quick one because we've done all the works in the previous video. So if you haven't watched the videos yet, then I highly recommend to you to watch it because in order for you to deploy your application to cloud, I think there are some few steps that you need to take, and I have covered them in these two videos. So I'll put the links also in the video description. You can check them out. Okay. Now let's see. So this is what we did. Currently, we can open our app here. It's running locally. It's having an address of localhost 5000. That's the port. And we have our Scala, and then we have our endpoint. Great. Now with this, we can try this out on our local machine. So let's first see if this is going to work before we make it accessible globally. Now we grab the address here, and I'm going to open browser from. So this is coming from my local machine. That's my computer that I'm using, and I'm going to paste this link. So if I hit on the enter key, let's see. Yes, so you can see it is saying that this site cannot be reached. Yes, it can't. Now, in order for us to make this available, that is what we need to do. I can still put it here, but well, let me put it here so we can draw back anytime that we want. Okay, now in our previous video, when we check the inbound rules that we created, we said that from the advanced settings, checking for Windows, Fire, and Defend that firewall. From this advanced settings, in the inbound rules, all rules or all protocols coming in, that is a port. We want to allow HTTP port. We already have our IP, that's our server or cloud IP address. So we can access this app through this IP address, but we must make sure the port is allowed. Now, in the previous video, we made a port of 80, but since I believe I told you earlier that I'm working on a project with my friend Joe, so the port 80 is already engaged. So we need to add upgrade it. So on this port, but maybe you can try with your 80. But with this, I'm going to write on the port of 8080. So properties, then protocols, then set the port to 8080. So add another 80 to this, making 8080. That is all that we need to do. Now, after we are done with this, we can now close this firewall. We can also close this one, and then default is running on the port of 5000. Let's stop this. So Control C, you're going to quit or shut this application down. Now, if you try to access this locally, it will not going to work because the app is shut down. Now, to make this work globally, let's have our local host. So I think I did that earlier on. So this is what I'm having here. .NET with the same presentation DLL file, but here we're going to add this -- URL. We are running locally on the HTTP port, so we're going to specify with an address here, and then the port that we have allowed in the inbound rules. Take note. So we have that is port 8080, and then let's run that. So let's wait, and now since migration has been performed already, when you check here, it is saying that no migration were applied. The database is already up to date because what we have is already there. So we did not do any different thing. We have the same thing over there. So that's okay. We don't actually focus on that. What we want to focus here, it is a listening address. So when we have TXC, now listen on this HTTP, we have with our server address with a port that we specified. Let's grab this, only this one. Then let's open it locally and check this out. So on the server, I am opening this here, specifying my scalar, and then my version 1. And now check this out. You can see I'm having it here, isn't it? So here, I can run this. Then I can send this. I can see I have the same thing over here. Now let's grab this, go to our local machine. From here, open new tab, and I'm going to paste this, and I'm going to have my scalar, and then I'm going to have my version 1. Now check this out. You can see that here the app has been accessed, right? So you can try this on your machine. Try to access my system now. As I speak, I'll leave it open so you can access it for maybe a day or two. So you can also test it out. Now from this, I can go to my endpoint, and I'll let you see whether we also connected to the database. Actually, in a local machine, it is. But well, let's verify from our external machine here. So I'm going to send this, and whoa, we got it. So we see we have the same thing. So in this way, you can able to upload your or deploy your project on a cloud server, and now it is working, and everyone can access this API. Yes, and that is it. This is just a quick one, right? So we've seen how to make our API um, global so that everyone can have access to it. Now, in the next video, this I'm going to talk about. Now, we are done deploying our API, let's say our endpoint or our backend onto the cloud server. What of front end? Stay tuned because in the next video, I'm going to create a dummy project, maybe a default one. Then we're going to publish it and try to deploy that to you on the same server. So we can have our back end and our front end, right? And now when it comes to for communication, I believe you can handle that. Yes, I trust you can do it. All right, so that is it for this video. If you enjoy this much, then give me a thumbs up by liking this video. If you haven't subscribed to, then make sure you do subscribe. And do not forget, click on the notification bell so you can receive updates as soon as I upload new content. All right, so I'm going to catch up again, so stay tuned. Hello, friends and everyone. Welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. In this video, we're going to talk about how we can deploy our static application, which is Blazor WebAssembly app on the cloud server that we are working on. You know, in the previous videos, we've seen how we can deploy our web API, make it run, connect to a database. And as I speak, a database is active, our API is also active. And now they are both live. We can access them anywhere using the IP with the specific port that we implemented in the other videos. And that's great. That's amazing. Yeah, so we have this implemented nicely. Now, the next thing that we're going to be doing is we want to create a Blazor app. And now this Blazor app, you want to consume this API because, you know, in the real world, when you have a static app, definitely going to have backend, isn't it? So the backend, the front end is going to drive the back end. So it means when we create our static app, we need to connect it to our API, and I'll make sure it gets what it needs to run. You know, in our API that we created as a demo project, we have a product API which returns a CRUD operation. So I'm going to be using only get. We're going to retrieve all the products from the API, and we're going to consume that in our static application, which is Blazor WebAssembly. After that, we're going to publish this and I'll move this into the IIS on our cloud server to make sure this is also running. Remember that when we are buying the domain, we use a name for that, and that name is reserved now. We did not use that for the API because we bought only one, so we want to be using that for the static app. Okay, I bought mine as netcode-hub.in, and I believe you bought yours too. Now in an API, let's say when I go to get product from the cloud server, so this is my server here. Now maybe I can run that on local machine, and that's my local machine. So I can refresh it and I go to product, test this out and see the number of products that I do have in my API. So if I share my screen, you can see that here I have, I think, only one record in it. And that is what we're going to be using here. For now, we have only one record. We can also add more records. So let's add 2 or more records attached to what we have already. Indeed, we have 4 records here, as you can see from the screen. Great. Now let's go and create our static app so we can derive from this API. Now, when we open your Blazor or the Visual Studio, you make sure that the studio that you have opened, you're in an admin mode. So I have created just a demo Blazor WebAssembly app, and I believe you know how to create this. Great. Now, in that, I created just already have this home component. So I injected our HTTP client, which is already registered in the program.cs file. So when you check from our program, we have HTTP client already registered. So I am using that. And now in here, I am making an API call. I created this product. Now that is the model that we have over here. It is what we use on API. So check here, we have ID, name, quantity, and a category ID. That is what our API is returning. So let me open the API again, and I'll see the models. We have an ID, category is null, we have name, quantity, and a category ID. So we're picking this for properties. And when we look at this, we have them here. So in our home.razor, you see we are getting that. So there's an address of that, and now this is going to run to get it. Now there is the local one. So I tested this out and both work. So currently we don't need this one. Now we make sure that this is live, and indeed it is. So we're going to call that. We can put a breakpoint or whatever. Now when you check here, we are looking through the list. As you can see from here, we say if product is not equal to null, that is I want to create this container with a row, and I look through the list that we have, create individual column auto. That is a card, and also set the header, the name, the quantity, and the category ID at least, so that we can know that hey, this is getting from the API. So we have this implemented beautifully here. Great. Now we're going to run this and I'll see whether our service is going to call. Then we see how we can also deploy this onto our server to make it live. So you can also access this site from your machine. Let's run it. So the API or the Blazor application is running. And now when you have a look with the home page, we have went for products from our API. And there you go, you get it. So now is the time for us to deploy this onto our server so we can access it without using this local host. So let's close this. And we're going to publish this to folder as usual. Same thing applies to how we did that with the API. So I'm going to close this. Let's go to solution, and then you can right click on the Blazor, go to publish. Let's use a folder for now. We want to choose folder for this. Then I think I have folder, I have profile already created. Well, I can create another one, then choose folder for this. And in the end, that is we're going to have, we can see that from the bin, and that's okay. So I'm going to finish that and then close it, show all settings, and I make sure that it's in a release mode so it can be in a production, self-contained, and that's self-contained, Blazor assembly. So for this, you don't need to do any settings here, leave it as default, and then click on save it. And then let's click on publish to get this project published. Oh, so it is finished. Now when you see, we have the published files in a specific folder from the release, so we can just hit on the control key and now click on the link, which is going to open directly to where the files are. So that is it. We got it, right? Now we can go back to Blazor Wasm. Let's grab this, and on the server, let's go and paste this. I've copied this. You must also do same. Let's minimize that. This is our server. You see I'm connected with my IP address, and in here, let's paste it on the desktop. Let's wait for this to finish. Then we're going to continue on with the next setup. So this is done. And now when you check the desktop, you see we have it here. Let's rename this folder. And now this is Blazor Wasm. And we're going to move this folder from this location to our local dex, inetpub. Now this folder, you get it as soon as you install IIS. Go to www.root and then let's paste this folder here. So maybe I have these two folders. I'm going to delete the previous one. Let's do this again. Okay, so that is the folder that I have here in it. If I open it, that is what we have. From the www root, we have everything from our published project. Okay, let's launch our IIS. So just hit on the window key IIS. You have it. You open that. And then from here, we're going to add site. So on our server, click on that, add site. Let's right click on this. Then add website. Then site name, that is our Blazor wasm. Then from the application pool, just click on select, choose the default. And then from physical part, let's go and choose the folder. So let's go to inetpub, Blazor, www root, then go for Blazor wasm, click on OK. And then IP address, you make sure you choose this, the IP address of this server. And then the port is going to be 80, like HTTP port 80. That's okay. Now the host name, let's have Netcode-Hub. Mine is netcode-hub.in. That is a domain that I bought. And do you remember you bought yours? So I'm going to put yours here. Then we can click on OK. Now when we are done, click on the same Blazor wasm. We have it over here. And then you go to binding. So we have netcode-hub.in. Let's add another one. And here we choose this. I want to say www.netcode-hub.in, the same port of 80. We are doing that so that when the user accesses without passing on the www, it works. And also when he passes on www, it also will work. Okay, so we have that, and let's close it. So now that we have this app created, we can just choose the Blazor, where this is a Blazor wasm, and then I can go to maybe restart and then browse this. So let's check it up and see in our browser. I'm clicking on that. Let's see. Okay, so it's opening here, and I can see, yeah, we have it. So I think it's opening twice. But when you run that and having an issue, you need to install hosting bundle. So if you haven't already installed this, come to this link, and I'll put this in the video description. Then click on this .NET Core Hosting Bundle to get it installed, and then run that. Follow the result to install that. And then you see from here, we have this working. So let's go have.in. Now this is working on the server. So let's go to our local machine. There is my local machine. And then let me just paste this here. Let's see whether it will work. Oh, yeah, we are in. So I am passing on without specifying the www, right? Now with the same thing, I'm going to do www dot. Then I'm going to pass in netcode-hub.in. Now let's see whether this is also going to open. Yes, and it has opened because of how we configure that. And when it opens, go to the home. You can see we have this product being received from the API. You can try this domain from your end, and it's still going to work. You're going to see this. I'll make this live for a while before I take it out. Okay, later on, I'm going to have a proper site built with this domain. That's great. Okay, so that is what we have in here. That's amazing, isn't it? And that is it, guys. So we've seen how we can also publish our Blazor WebAssembly, which is our front end, on the same server, which is running our API. So our API and our client, that's the back end and front end, both are running nicely, and they're also connected, right? So we can receive them, or we can access this outside our local system. That's amazing. So that is it, guys. I believe for now you have no issue with deployment. And in case you're doing and you have an issue too, then do let me know, and I'll be available to assist you and take you through. All right. So I believe you enjoyed this as I did as well. If you did so, then give me a thumbs up for this video, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that. And stay tuned for more content like this. Until then, take care and see you again.